What's going on, guys? My name's Theoatrix and welcome to my complete Vorkath guide. In this video, I'll teach you everything you need to know for fighting with ranged and melee. Let's get into it. First up, the requirements, and you need to complete the Dragon Slayer 2 quest to fight Vorkath, requiring 200 quest points plus a range of stats in the 60s. In terms of combat stats, to be effective at Vorkath, you'll need 75 ranged if you're ranging and 80s in the melee combat stats. For melee, it is recommended to have 85s, but you can still defeat Vorkath with lower stats. The fastest way to get there is using the Fremennik Sea Boots 4 from the Elite Fremennik Diaries. That's a bit hard to get, so instead, another way there is to use a Waterbirth Island teleport, then take the boat to Relica. Alternatively, the best way for all accounts is to teleport to the Relica House portal, which could include moving your house to Relica or using a scroll of redirection. Now I'm going to explain all of Vorkath's mechanics. Vorkath has regular, melee, ranged, and magic attacks that it can do, and they can hit up to 32. Throughout the fight, it's best to use Protect from Ranged if you're wearing ranged gear, and Protect from Melee if you're in melee distance, or Protect from Magic if you're attacking with melee but staying out of melee distance. There's also the regular Dragonfire attack, which is a red fire breath, and this hits up to 80 if you don't have protection from Dragonfire. And the green Fire Breath attack is a Venom attack, where you'll need to cure the Venom damage. There's also the purple Fire Breath, which turns off your prayers when it hits you, and for this, you just need to turn your prayers back on. So those were the Dragon Breath attacks, but there's also the Fireball attack, where Vorkath launches fire into the air, and to avoid this, you need to be at least 2 tiles away. Then, every 6 attacks from Vorkath, it does a special type of attack, which can be one of 2 attacks. It can be the Zombified Spawn, where Vorkath freezes you, and you have to use Crumble Undead on a spawn that appears. And the other attack is the Acid Pools, which is where pools appear around the area and Vorkath launches fireballs at you every game tick. So you need to move every tick to avoid the damage, which can be done by walking. Now I'll take you through 2 full Vorkath kills, one for ranged and one for melee. If you're looking for a gear guide, I'll talk about gear and inventory right after these run-throughs. Before starting, it's recommended to have your run energy turned off for the entire fight, and this helps with the acid phase, starting with ranged. So to start the fight, you click on Vorkath. Then I start attacking with ranged, with Protect Ranged active. After a few hits, Vorkath uses its first special attack, which is the acid phase. So I quickly look over the acid area and choose a suitable line to walk down. You can avoid all the fireballs just by moving. Once the phase ends, I return to attacking with ranged, with Protect from Ranged. Then the next special attack happens, which is the Zombified Spawn. So for this, you go to your magic spellbook and cast Crumble Undead on it as fast as possible. An easier way to do this is to use a Slayer Staff on auto cast. Then you just swap weapon and click on it. Then it's back to attacking Vorkath. A few hits later, I'm onto the acid phase, and it's definitely the phase where most people die. If you stop moving at all, you instantly start getting damaged. Then I return to fighting Vorkath and eventually complete the kill. So that was ranged. Now let's do a full run through of a melee kill. For melee, it's easiest to use Protect from Magic and attack and walk away. This is to ensure Vorkath doesn't use any melee attacks. So after a few hits, it enters the acid phase, and for this phase, I would recommend just walking and not attacking Vorkath, but with a bit of practice, you can acid walk while attacking. This requires perfect timing and clicks, but for your first few kills, I would suggest just walking like the range setup. Then the Zombified Spawn appears, so I swap to the Slayer Staff and click on the spawn and return to attacking Vorkath. Then there's the big Fireball attack. So I move out of the way and then back to regular fighting, and it enters the acid phase once more, where you should walk, but can also attack with a bit of practice. Then the fight resumes and the kill is complete. Now let's talk about gear and inventory. I'm going to show gear for both ranged and melee, and for each, I'll show the minimum setup as well as the budget and max setup. So starting with ranged, the minimum setup would be Void, with a rune crossbow and a salve amulet. The salve amulet is a must at Vorkath, but you do need to enchant it to have the ranged boost. In your inventory, you should use the Slayer Staff with Crumble Undead runes in your rune pouch, which is Chaos, Earth, and Air runes. You want to be using Ruby Bolts for the first half of the kill, then Diamond Bolts for the second half, and you can use the Adamant versions to save money. And you want a Divine Ranged Potion, 1 full extended super anti-fire, and 1 anti-venom plus potion. You also want 2 super restores, food, and your teleport to get there and back. A decent budget range setup would still be using Void, but the difference of using the Dragon Crossbow, Archer's Ring, and Dragon Bolts. Now this is the max range setup. It includes full Missouri, the Dragon Hunter crossbow, with a Zarite crossbow for spec. If you're wondering what the dull looking prayer potion is, that's an extended anti-venom plus potion, which is quite expensive, but you might as well use one when you have the best gear. Next up is the melee setups, and the first one is the minimum setup, which includes the Zamorakian Hasta as your weapon. The Salve Amulet is a must here too, since Vorkath is undead. The only difference in the inventory is the super combat instead of the ranging potion. You still need Crumble Undead runes and the Slayer Staff if you want. The budget melee setup includes the same armor, but instead using a Fang, a Berserker Ring, and Ferocious Gloves. The max melee setup includes full Torva, a Dragon Hunter Lance with a Voidwaker to spec, and the Altor Ring. To finish the video, I want to cover Vorkath's drops. The average loot from one Vorkath kill is currently 180k. The most valuable drop is the Skeletal Visage, worth 15 mil right now, and there's also a range of other valuable drops. The pet is dropped at a rate of 1 in 3,000, which is the same drop rate as the Jar of Decay. Anyways, that's my complete Vorkath guide for OSRS. If you learnt something or enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my third channel for more old school guides. Thanks for watching.